Well, I want to just say this morning that everything seems to be in vain when it comes to looking to doing anything. It seems like if you're working, you get a low wage job out of work, low wage job, and everything gets to be the same old economic condition problems over and over again. Like when let's say, if you buy a used car, it ends up needing auto insurance and maintenance on it, on the used car. And as you own it, the car deteriorates in value. And then one of those big days come along and the car ends up needing a big repair, and you can't afford the repair, and you practically give away the car that you paid $1,000 for or more, and you for $50 or less, or you have to give it away because you can't afford repairs. It's like, yeah. And then you continue doing this. You say, oh, I'll work and I'll get myself another car. And then you work and you get another car, and it's the same thing, deteriorating value car. And then having to after paying so much for it, you end up having the same thing, practically giving away something you paid $1,000 more for. And it's like, yeah. And that's why somewhat you start thinking, I don't really want an automobile because it ends up being so expensive just to get, and to keep. If it keeps on repeating itself over and over again, the same problem of wanting when you have an automobile. So I end up wanting to use public transit and the buses as a partial solution to the repeating automobile problem, when you can't really feel like you can't even really afford a car, and the insurance and everything on it, you just barely can do that, and then you have to sit there and give it away at the end of a few years. It's like a terrible cycle. So public transit and buses were what was left over after you end up not having a car anymore. And so this is what happens to the system on that. Own a car, end up giving away the car. And then you have to use public transit, and then and around here, and we're out in the city I'm in right now, it doesn't seem to care as much for public transit and it has this public transit system maybe lasting only up to 7 p.m. at night, which ain't quite good. And it doesn't even start up good enough in the morning. 6 o'clock in the morning here isn't that great for a bus system. So you get 6 and 7. And it just not good enough for the employers. And so we got that problem with that. And then on here keeps driving me crazy because the bus system doesn't seem to have what other bus systems I'm used to have, and that is a full day bus stop time schedules for the major bus stops. Over and over again. I could get myself a darn headache over it. I shouldn't. It is so darn bad on public transit. Not only to get only 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. or so bus service, it doesn't even want to sit there and give a decent bus schedules for its riders. And then we have this other little problem here with adult education, you think. Yeah, you can sit there, and like I have in the past, for a decade or two, wanting an education, wanting to go to community college, and guess, after you get your degree, guess what happens? No employer wants to hire you for your degree. They want only experience. And the employer just thinks of the education as just an additional add plus to the darn degree. A plus to the same old resume. So what you end up having is you have a car problem with repeating cars that end up being a problem over and over again because you never get ahead on that, and then you can't even get an education that's the training you need to improve on your life any further than before because the employer wants your training at your education. And of all of that, that's one of the two things. What's going on, and then you trying to think of a way out of all of this, and I don't see exactly a way out. Let's say these employers want to train you. And they want to, how many? And then when you get one of these low-wage training jobs. I mean, one of these low-wage jobs where they train you, and they're still low wage. They just don't train you to be anything worth with higher pay. So you can't use the community college system for training because they don't want to train you so you can get a job. Really, it's just general education, general introduction to the field, and it just doesn't work. And general education, general induction to the field is not good enough to get a job with. And so we got that, and then you got this other little problem with and you always sit there wanting to get out of the darn problem, and then there ain't no problem, no solution to the problem, Employers don't want to hire, don't want to train you, and the other ones ends up needing you. That's where you need the training at, is where they end up wanting the experience at. And it's not fair, but that's what we get. And then they say thinking you sit there and have to live on food stamps and housing support just because no one wants to sit there and hire you hire to train you. And that's the way it goes. And then you want to. It isn't fair. It just is not fair. And that's the way we got our capitalism here. It's just. No one wants to train you. Employers don't want to hire only general introductory to the field job training, and that's the way it goes. And the cars are always a reciprocal, go round and around, wanting a new car, and everything's around and around, and you end up working on, and you never get ahead. You really can't afford retirement. Retirement, yeah, all right. Well, how can you afford retirement if you keep needing a new car? Nobody. There ain't no way to have retirement. You'll be sitting there wanting to have to work the rest of your darn life if you can, because you can't afford retirement. There ain't no way to afford the retirement when you have to sit there and buy cars over and again. And an education system doesn't want to seem to work. And you stuck with this helpless feeling when everything ends up being helpless because you can't get out of the darn rut you're in. And you call that good capitalism. I go, yeah. Only then sit there and you know where some of these people who get the training for some of their jobs is from their fathers. And then some of these people who get training from their fathers complain that they got training from their fathers. And it's funny. But for the people who don't have the training from their fathers and their mothers, there is no solution because no one wants it to train you or make you have a better life.